Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
We're going to talk about scalping, and I think Geeky is going to lead this video because apparently the term scalper is offensive.
Yeah, so I'm on different collecting boards, and one of them was like a doll board, and they were talking on there about this one person come on, and everybody's always complaining about scalpers because they're talking about the bots. Like, you know what I'm talking about. If you're going to go buy something and then it's something that's high demand and it drops and then they're immediately gone and they're all on eBay because it's like people using bots and they're buying more than their limit, that kind of thing. Well, people are always complaining about that. But this one person comes on and they're like, you need to stop saying that because it's offensive to indigenous people. And
What?
I'm offended because I'm indigenous, which was followed by a lot of indigenous people saying, I'm not offended at all because words have multiple meanings and it has had a multiple meaning for years. But it ranks up there with spook and spooky and all that crap.
Okay then, so this is news to me. This is actually the first time I've heard it. You were talking about it the other day, and I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious that
I am
people
serious.
are offended by this? Now, there are lots of reasons to be offended by scalpers because they jack the prices up and they clear out the shelves.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I don't care if people buy something and they resell. I mean, the problem is like these people are using, things to go in and wipe out the entire inventory and then put them all on eBay.
Right.
That's where I think, that's going a little too far. But now you're not allowed to even call it. You call it a reseller, a shelf clearer, a price gouger, but you're not allowed to call them a scalper.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. If you do, you'll get a woohoo.
Woohoo!
All right, Geeky, so you're going to have to take this one over.
Okay, so like I was saying, I was on a doll board. It was Monster High board. I'll say what it was. And this one person comes on and they're like all offended and they're saying this and majority of the comments did not side with them. Majority of people, including a bunch of people who are also indigenous descent, were like, that's clearly not the use. The intent matters. What we always say here, intent matters. Like spook and spooky and all that. No one uses it in that way. No one's using scalper today to mean somebody goes around scalping people.
Yeah,
I mean, the intention matters. No one's using it in that way.
I never even made, I'll tell you the truth. It's so commonly used in dealing with, tickets and stuff like that, that I never even stopped to think that it came from that. You know
Well,
what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
think it actually did come from that. That's the thing. It's a different meaning. Like here, the definition, according to the dictionary, is historically speaking, to take a scalp of an enemy as a battle trophy, okay? But they said the informal North American is to mean resell for shares or tickets for a large or quick profit. That's what most people use it as. That's a historical. It's no longer used in that regard. No one's going around doing that anymore.
I hope not.
Okay, they said scalping. And the number one thing in Wikipedia is used when referring to trades in securities, commodities, or foreign exchange may refer to either legitimate method of arbitrative or small price gaps created by the bid and ask spread, a fraudulent form of market manipulation. That's the most recognized term now, the informal term for resale. That is what it's used as. It is no longer used in that regard. It's it's listed as historical. I'm tired of this. Like, you have a word that was one thing. I mean, I know there was a word that meant, cigarette or bundle of sticks, and they use it in a derogatory fashion now. I'm not going to say it because I think it's shit and I'm not going to say it. But I'm just saying words' meanings change.
Yes. There was a Kids in the Hall skit about that, by the
Oh,
way.
was there?
Yes.
But the meanings change. And like now it means that. But this does no one's going around scalping people. It no longer means that. Spook and spooky doesn't mean what it meant in World War II for like a short period of time. It means, and ironically, a whole bunch of companies out there have signs up for Halloween. It's spooky season. Hey, get your spook on and everything else. And I have to laugh every time I see it at the store or on TV. I'm just like, oh, canceled.
Scalp your spooky stuff. Like they had, what was that? The Lewis the pumpkin or whatever the kids were talking about on TikTok.
Yeah, I heard all about that. Yes.
Yeah, Lewis the pumpkin. So you can scalp Lewis.
Oh,
for
yeah.
a lot of
What
money
was that?
on eBay.
Jabber and Jack. Oh, I should take a video of that sometime. He sings a song that sounds like really like, hey, we're going to get it on when the lights are down. It's like a kid's decoration. And he sings a song about
putting his seeds in you or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
And I was like, what? What are you doing?
You get a chance, go look it up. You'll probably find it. I was just, Squeaky likes to put it on just to laugh because it's hilarious. Anyway, unrelated. So we're on this board, and this board now to begin with, it's funny because this board tends to have an issue. It runs younger. because it's Monster High dolls, so it tends to run a younger audience. I do buy dolls. My daughter Pinky Boo has a huge Monster High collection, so I'm on there for that reason. And there's a lot of younger people on there, and you get a lot of people on there that are like, I don't understand, guys. Like, I know this doll's been discontinued for like 12, 13 years and you can no longer buy it, but I think I should pay $20 for it in box because that's what you paid on the shelf then. And I don't care if it's going for $200. That's scalping. I should be able to pay 20 bucks for it because that's all I can afford. And they literally say this and they mean it.
So yeah, I think I should only pay about $3 or $4 for a Power of the Force Star Wars figures from the 1980s because that's what they sold for.
Right. Yeah. And even for inflation, it should pay like 20 bucks, you know? And that's what they do. And they get legitimately ass mad about people asking fair market prices for things. Now, I'm not talking about buying a couple of things and selling them for a markup here and there to make some money or fair market price. I'm talking about people that clear the shelves and do shit like that. That's not cool. But it was just so funny to me because like this person was just so ass mad over the term scalping. And it apparently is something that's been going around because here's this Reddit. We need to have a discussion.
We need to have a discussion. Anytime somebody says we need to talk about, we need to have a discussion, you know you're going to be talked at, you're going to be lectured at.
Yeah, it's offensive to stop using. This is from 2 years ago. If anyone confused Scalper but not scammer, sorry for the confusion because they just put SC ... I have seen many people being okay with using this term that is offensive to a minority group, 10 to 1 they aren't even part of the group. And something that's okay to be said because other people say it. It's okay to be said because the definition, and current, not historical, is this, and is about using it for fraudulent form of market manipulation. They are correctly using the term. In many Facebook groups, it's literally a rule not to use that term. Not that I've ever been in. There are many better alternative things that don't impact marginalized groups. And it goes on. There's no use using a term that's offensive to group people similar to the N-word.
What?
Says the same people going around saying the Tinkerbell word constantly when people that it represents tell them they hate it, stop using it. They'll keep doubling, tripling down on that, including corporations. But now using the word scalper is the same as calling someone the N-word, according to this person. I got many downvotes for trying to share knowledge that I have heard from others.
No, that's
and to
not
hopefully
why
have other people learn it's not okay to use. It's fine to use by definition. Fine.
You
okay?
got downvoted because you're dumb.
I said it's offensive to hear that the majority of Indigenous people, actually on the thread, the majority of Indigenous people said, hey, I'm Indigenous. I'm not offended. That's not what it's used for. They kept saying intent matters. You're not intentionally meaning to insult me or use it as a slur. Intent matters. And that's what we keep saying over and over again. That's what these rational, completely rational, actually identify that way people were telling this person in the comments. But they're just like losing their shit.
And this is coming from Reddit. So Reddit is all about this, right? And you've got the first commenter. Do you think you could give me a few links on how exactly this is a slur? I can't find anything, so I'm actually pretty confused.
In an NPR article about a different word.
Oh my God.
And then you go over here, the etymology, where did it come from? They said it was a surgical instrument in 1760. And then of course it meant, what it did back with with scalping people. But they said the meaning was the person who resells for an authorized price as a profit was from 1869 American English, referring to theater tickets. It was more often used late 19th century for brokers or unsold portions of railway tickets.
Yes.
It comes from something else. It is not meant to be. And even before they were using it in the terms of, scalping in that regard, it was being used as a tool, a medical tool.
Yeah, and they said that in some sense, scalper was a generic term for a con man or a cheater. So you're kind of...
In 1670s? Yeah. No, that was... Yeah, scalper. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Unlike this, or 1700s. So it's hundreds of years old. It's been used in this regard for a long time. Even the definition says historically it was used at that, but that's not the current definition.
So look, this is just another example of modern day morons looking for things to be offended.
To be triggered by.
And
it's always younger people, almost always.
Do they have nothing better to do with their free time?
Well, it's funny to me because they're triggered about that, but they're also triggered about scalping in general. So, I mean, and that's not even scalping. It's reselling in general. Like I said, literally people are having meltdowns. And I can't tell you how many threads have gotten shut down on this board. Because some young person would be like, I can't afford that. So could somebody sell it to me for what it cost when it was out in the shelves? And people are like, no, it's worth hundreds now. Why the hell would we sell it to you for $20?
So, I mean, every comic book shop would go out of business if they.
Well, anybody who sells it more than what it was at retail is a scalper, even if it was retail was 30 years ago.
Hey, we've got the first appearance of a major superhero when it was on the stands. It was a 15-cent comic book. Let's just sell it for 15 cents.
Right, because that's just fair because they can't afford afford it other, and they'll say because I can't afford the prices. Well, other people will step in and say, I can't afford a lot either, but I just save my money till I can and then get what I want when I can afford it. And if you look and you're patient, you can find somebody who might give you a decent deal because some people actually just want to help other collectors, and they will. But most people aren't going to do that.
So here's the libertarian in me coming out. So the free market can teach you a valuable lesson about supply and demand. Basically, if you're not willing to pay what somebody wants for something and somebody else is, then that's what the going rate is.
Well, that's the argument they try to make against scalping. They're like, stop paying for the scalping prices, and then they'll stop buying it all up. And now we've run into this. Like I did stuff like Disney was selling different lines and different things on the Shop Disney, and there was the second they would drop it, be sold out. Because a bot was coming in the back door. I saw people selling, spots to be on the bot list that you could pay them a fee. They would go in and wipe out. Sometimes it was like they had it wiped out like moments before it actually went live. And it was a problem. So Disney had to put a bunch of different things in place to try to stop it because it kept happening. I know with like PlayStation 5s and different systems, you couldn't get them because people were buying them. And until they became more readily available and people weren't paying the scalpers anymore, they kept, doing it and taking up all the inventory because people kept paying them the money. That's just the way it is. I mean, don't do it. But you said about gaming stores. I know when the Disney's Lorcana came out, a bunch of card shops and stuff got the stuff about 2 or 3 weeks early than the manufacturer, a week or maybe, I forget, so many days early. And a lot of them sold it for the retail, which is what they were supposed to sell it for. But a lot of the shops went and sold it for street value. And people were pissed. And they're like, we have to stay open. But they weren't supposed to be selling it at the marked up price. So it ended up being a big problem. And now because of the issues, they announced they're going to reissue all the cards, and there was no difference. People are like, well, there better be a difference so that the secondary market doesn't get impacted. They said, no, we're just reissuing them as is with no differentiation at all.
Well, that's kind of what I guess is hurting Magic now too, because there were some shops that dealt in, the secondary market. And the thing is that the manufacturer doesn't give a shit about the secondary market because they don't make any money off the secondary market. They make the money when they sell it to you the first time, and that's it. So.
Right. Well, they're worried because of the Monster High dolls, I can tell you. They have drops on Mattel Creations every so often. And when this happens, they're gone very quickly. If you can even get in, because a lot of times when the bots are hitting it, it locks the system up and then people can't get anything. And then a lot of people who wanted the dolls can't get them. They have a limit of 2 per order. So people are going and ordering multiple times, and they're not just taking their 2, they're taking like 20, and you'll see them listed like, I have 10 available when you're limited to 2. And I'm like, today they're going to have a drop for this Nightmare Before Christmas set. And it's a $90 set, and they're already selling on here. I know on my board I'm on, someone was already offering them for trade, and they're like, how do you know you're going to get it? And they're like, well, I figured out how to do my own thing that I can get a bot to make sure I get my order. And they're already pre-selling them, even though they haven't even released yet.
Yeah, that's
like
kind
for
of
these prices.
They've done that before with I know Transformers and stuff like the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive stuff. They tend to, and a lot of times it is comic shops or
I don't know, but I know there's whole groups where they just go to these bot chain things and they pay, and then they like, I want 20, and here's my credit card information, and they'll get like a lot. They might not get their whole 20, but they'll get a bunch. And then people who actually want to collect them or just wanted one don't get any. And that I think is a problem. I mean, I don't think buying something to resell and then reselling it for fair market value is wrong. I think people can do that if they want to. I think when they're hoarding things and taking everything, it's a problem. And if you don't want it to stop, just don't pay their prices. But this whole thing, you can't even use the term scalper now because, oh my God, this person, I'm not even offended for me. I'm offended for everybody else. But again, this person is probably one of those people who go around calling La Tinkerbell. Yeah. People that, even though people keep telling them specifically, do not use that term. I hate it. They keep using it because social media tells them that that's acceptable. You can't use the N-word, but you can go around calling people that, which to them is the same thing as using the N-word.
Yeah.
But
that's so stupid.
Just scalping is wrong.
Again, this is just another example of people looking for things to be offended about. I don't know why we have this culture of people being perpetually offended, and it's always about hobbies. You know, I think because they're so obsessed with their hobbies and they're obsessed with activism, they just kind of intermingle the two.
Right. Oh, well, they're just like offended by everything. Like, oh, how many sites do I have to see? Or maybe, I mean, memes of my culture's in your Halloween costume. I'm like, overseas they dress as cowboys and shit all the time, and no one says anything. You know,
cowboys in shit. That would that'd be a costume.
But I'm just saying, it's like a lot of cultures. They you ask them, they're like, I'm not offended because I think it's actually a compliment that people, you know, are caring enough to research and learn about it to want to emulate that. They don't find it offensive, but people here are just so busy being offended for everybody else, but every little thing. And intent matters. Are you doing it with the intention of being a racist tool bag? Then yes, you shouldn't say it. If you're going to somebody who's an indigenous person and saying, hey, you know, you're a scalper, then you're a shit and you deserve to have your ass kicked. If you're just saying, hey, that guy's scalping these things, you're using it in the correct terminology as far as, you know, when it comes to market manipulation and exchange of goods. That is completely correct. You shouldn't have to change how you use words because somebody's mad. And in this case, the person wasn't even part of that group. In the group I was in, the person was part of the group, but there was a bunch of people who also are part of that group who came out and said, this is stupid. Why are we doing this? This is dumb. They're not doing it to be racist. This is dumb. I'm not offended.
All right. So if the group that you're offended on behalf of is not offended, then just drop it.
Apparently.
Drop it.
But no, they're going to continue because they're going to make it. They're going to keep saying it until people are offended.
Nobody cares. The fact that Reddit is even like, yeah, I don't get it. I don't get why you're offended.
Yeah, because you're not misusing the term. It's like spook and spooky.
Yeah.
That is just because you misused for a term that was never meant to be that way. It was misused for like a period of 10 years. It doesn't mean that you can no longer use it ever because it's called, you know, it's racist, it's appropriation, it's whatever. It means scary, spooky, spoopy stuff. I'm like, I'm sorry. You're going to have to cancel a whole shit ton of corporations whose the whole advertising campaign was like, ooh, spooky, you know? It's like, God, what's wrong with you? Scalping and excess is bullshit. But expecting people to sell you something at shelf value 20 years after the fact is downright dumb.
It is.
And that's probably what you're actually mad about, but you're trying to deflect.
That's exactly what they're mad about. That's exactly what they're mad about. So
anyway.
We're going to wrap it up?
Yes.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.